What makes Frontier Toyota so awesome?
They make it so easy.
They treat people right.
They're straightforward.
Frontier Toyota is also the proud recipient of Toyota's President's Cabinet Award, one of only 12 dealerships in the nation to win the award.
It's our customers.
Because at Frontier Toyota,
it's about you!
Come in or buy online at frontiertoyota.com. Frontier Toyota, Creekside Road in Valencia.
Hello and welcome to the Santa Clarita Valley Signal News Podcast. I'm your host, Aron Bender. While you're here, please subscribe, rate, and review. We cover the news of the week, all the happenings in the 661. Later this episode, I talk with Signal Managing Editor Perry Smith about football back on the field, the anniversary of the pandemic lockdown, and we'll shine the spotlight on an SCV resident who led the team to get those cool pictures back from Mars. But first, here's Signal reporter Caleb Lunetta about Santa Clarita's new ice cube, and a former LA police detective caught on tape unleashing a racist rant.
Basically, what happened was on Saturday around 3 p.m. on Valencia Boulevard, there was a traffic collision, and where the story picks up, at least for us and for millions of people on social media, now that multiple national news agencies are involved with this story, essentially what you see is a white man and a white woman getting into an argument with a young black driver, a young black man. And while we do have the names of these people, we're just going to keep it out just for now. But right now, what occurred and what we do know is during the altercation and the argument, the white man, who was later identified to be a former LAPD detective that retired last year from their homicide division, used a number of racial slurs, including the N-word and some other, racially charged and insensitive language at the black man, who responded to him with his own profanity, essentially, the LAPD detective used the N-word a number of times in the video, and that was going around social media on Monday and Tuesday. Then we called the sheriff's station, and we learned that a traffic report had been filed. No arrests had been made, but LAPD HQ informed the public that they would be investigating all 370 of that detective's cases, and reviewing them.
Wow.
And District Attorney Gascon announced that he would be reviewing all cases in which that detective was a witness. So potentially hundreds of cases are now under review by both the LAPD and the District Attorney's Office based off of this video.
And how did this video surface?
A bystander filmed it, and then it ended up on social media, and then people were saying online that it was a former LAPD detective, and we started making calls, and then we found out from LAPD, while they wouldn't confirm his name, they would only say that he is no longer an employee, and they won't be taking any type of formal disciplinary action against him, like as they would if he were an active duty detective or still on the force.
Right.
But they are reviewing 370 of his cases.
Let's switch to another story you've been working on this week. You got a tour of what used to be called the ice station, and then all of a sudden I see in the Signal, it's like tour given of the cube. I'm like, what is the cube, man?
Oh, yeah, the ice cube. The ice cube. And we're not entirely convinced the city's not trying to get Ice Cube out here for this premiere. We think that it's a long con by some of the city staff to finally meet Ice Cube.
That'd be cool. I'm on board with that. Let's go.
I want to meet Ice Cube just like anybody else. Anyone with 2 ears and a heart, I'm sure. But yeah, so last year, the ice station, after COVID-19 had essentially just shut it down entirely. The city decided to buy the ice station for $14.49 million. And then within the last few months, they've been renovating it and rebranded it to the Cube. And so it opens on April 12th. They're going to do a grand ribbon cutting ceremony, and they've been working on it. Essentially, there's new paint. They're redoing a lot of the flooring. Obviously, the cube, like the logo, is at the dead center of both ice rinks. For people who are familiar with the ice station as it formerly was, you had, the NHL rink, the Olympic rink, and then the pond. All three of those are, they're there still, but they've updated a lot of the technology when it comes to the ice. They're fixing a lot of the two of the Zambonis. They're adding a new restaurant. We don't know the name of the restaurant yet, and some of us are pulling for certain restaurants, but we'll see when it all shakes out. And they're going to have conference room space. They're going to have offices available for the, league administrators, that there's a couple leagues that run through there from kids to adults. So yeah, it's getting a big facelift, and it's going to be, the city believes, it's going to, what they were calling it, is like, it was, it's for the people of Santa Clarita Valley. So the juxtaposition was, we have Central Park for soccer games. Now we have the ice station,
right?
Or, the cube for ice sports.
Now the Kings were part of the rebranding and such. What's the talk about maybe that team practicing or maybe doing some scrimmages, some exhibitions up here?
Yeah, so there's a lot of the details. They're still ironing out. Essentially the Kings will assist, like the organization itself will help assist with running it, have an involvement in the pro shop, but a lot of the details of that are still being ironed out. So we'll see what's going to happen, but the city is obviously very excited about this. They have big plans for it, and they think that it's going to be a huge benefit to the community and give access to people who normally wouldn't have access to ice hockey or figure skating or any type of ice sports. They think that it's going to be a huge service and benefit to them.
We're going to have to fight you for ice time. How much time do you spend on the ice?
When I'm doing my figure skating routine, anywhere between 4 to 6 hours a day. I'm Michelle Kwan. I'm serious about my craft.
Caleb, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me, Aaron.
We skate on over to Signal Managing Editor Perry Smith, who had a tough task to tackle now that football is back.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's been kind of taken over my life. I feel for the coaches. I feel for the players. Everybody's been, 3 weeks ago, they found out, hey, guess what? We're going to have a season. And the coaches were all joking with me. I had a January plan, Perry. I had an August plan. I even had a November plan, but I didn't have a March plan. So I was just like, coaches, I'm right there with you. We did not, nobody anticipated that, but everybody wants to, just put attention back to kind of getting back to where we can enjoy some football and other sports and get outside and safely do that. So we have some information. We talked to the coaches. I talked to all 6 of the varsity teams because Castaic isn't quite there yet at the varsity level. So we got a little breakdown on, who's doing what this year and who's coming back and just some of that for the real hardcore football fans. So hopefully they enjoy that.
Yeah, games got underway last night, and then you have a bunch of previews in today's paper.
Exactly. Yeah, they kicked off with some a Thursday game this year, a little different. They're rotating the spots. Traditionally, they've played at Cougar Stadium. That's not an option this year with College of the Canyon still being under certain restrictions. So doing things a little bit differently. They're going to be rotating spots. They'll have Thursday, Friday, and Saturday games. But what's great is that they're going to have a live stream available for most of those games. So, they have very strict limitations on who can attend, but you can still watch the games, which you couldn't do in the past if you weren't there.
Some of those limitations will be lifted as we go on through the rest of the season, as we get into spring. But today, 1 year since the lockdown was enacted.
Yeah, and that's a big look back that we've kind of been doing throughout the week, and we'll have some stuff in the paper tomorrow as well, just as far as kind of how far we've come in the last year, how much things have changed. I don't know anybody who hasn't had their life completely changed around by COVID-19. So we talked about some of those changes. We talked about how we're getting back to normalcy and how far we have to go still.
Another anniversary, 93 years since the St. Francis Dam break.
Yes. And that's one that they're still working on the federal monument for that. And one of the things we talked about in the story, but that's been a years long process. But obviously, one of the worst man-made disasters ever in California. 400 plus people were killed when the dam broke back in 1928.
Don't ask journalists to do math. Perry, you're breaking my brain.
I had 93 years, I believe, is the 93rd anniversary. But yeah, no, and just there's so many interesting stories that came from that, and obviously, that changed the legacy of William Mulholland and just a big part of California history. So just kind of a look at how that impacted the Santa Clarita Valley too.
And whenever we talk NASA, we have to talk about the relatively high concentration, if you will, of people who work at NASA and JPL here in Santa Clarita. Just a real quick trip on the 210 over to work. You've got a story coming up this weekend on at least one of the guys who works at NASA. Yeah,
the project manager for the whole rover worked out here as well, but we found out that Tim Canham is the person who led the project that designed that helicopter that sent us photos that we were, everybody was looking at right after the rover landed recently. And they've been working on that since, it launched in July. It takes a little while to get to Mars, apparently. But they had to do the final stages for the preparation of that launch July of last year. Obviously, amid COVID conditions, they had restrictions too, and precautions they had to take. And it's just kind of funny talking about some of the things you don't think about or take for granted, but a lot of their ideas and exchanges come from, hey, let me walk over to your cubicle and talk to you about this, and you can't really do that anymore. So they talked about the logistics and the challenges of kind of putting that together remotely, which I think my job is tough sometimes, but literally it's not rocket science, right, Aaron? And that's what these guys are doing. So it was pretty fascinating to hear his story and how they overcame those challenges.
Perry, thank you so much. Look forward to the Sunday Signal. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Aaron. Appreciate it.
That'll do it for this week's Santa Clarita Valley Signal News podcast. You can get all the stories we talked about and more at signalscv.com. Email me story or guest ideas at abender@signalscv.com and connect with me on social media at aronbender.com. Thanks for listening. Be well.
What makes Frontier Toyota so awesome?
They make it so easy.
They treat people right.
They're straightforward.
Frontier Toyota is also the proud recipient of Toyota's President's Cabinet Award, one of only 12 dealerships in the nation to win the award.
It's our customers.
Because at Frontier Toyota,
it's about you!
Come in or buy online at frontiertoyota.com. Frontier Toyota, Creekside Road in Valencia.